All right, making sure we're all live. Says no data yet. All right, looks like we're live. So today I'm gonna be doing a workout combining bands and dumbbells. I was thinking about it, and there's some exercises I really like better with bands, but then also some that just do not work with bands at all. So I'm like, why am I doing two separate workouts, and why not just take the best of both and combine them? So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna try some new stuff. I've been wanting to work on some postural things. So we're gonna be working on, if you can see, my head is a little bit forward from my shoulders. Some of that's a residual from a car accident I had a while back. And I'm like, John, I really need to dial this in and work on some of the things in my neck and shoulders. So we're gonna start with that as our warm up. So I'm gonna do this with a resistance band. This is called a pull apart. Let me know in the chat if you have heard a different name for this exercise. So I'm gonna loop the band, and what I'm like to do is have my hands up. Now, the advantage of doing that is I'm actually stretching that pectoral tendon as well, so that chest tendon that goes across here. So we're gonna be strengthening these muscles between the shoulder blades that pull the shoulders back like this. See how that actually helps pull my posture? So to do that, palms up, I'm gonna pull that band apart, pinching my shoulders together. Now I'm gonna try and keep my hands flat, just like I'm holding, wow, this arm is a little bit low, huh? There we go. So pulling, pinching the shoulder blades together. It's harder on the right side a little bit. So I should feel that right between my shoulder blades. And I'm going for about 10 to 15 reps of this. Now this is actually a lot harder to do with dumbbells. Whoa. I just realized I'm actually way lower on one side than the other. There we go. I like bands for this because as you do it, you don't have to be leaning way over like this where I'm bending towards the front. So I feel like I can get a much better angle just pulling straight across. And you should feel that right in here between your shoulder blades. So like I said, those pull your shoulder blades back. A lot of times the pecs pull us in and down. So this helps open up that chest. You might feel a stretching feeling across here or a tension feeling back here where these muscles, that middle trap is engaging to pull apart. The other exercise I'm trying to incorporate, or the other exercise I want to do more of, is called a chin tuck. Now, I like to do this one against the wall. So ideally, the back of my head should be touching this wall. You can see there's a gap there. So I'm gonna try and get these muscles back here to expand and these muscles in here to engage a little bit more. So what I'm gonna do is push my head back towards that wall. So I'm pushing back, so I'm not looking down, I'm going backwards with my head. So I'm gonna push and try and push against that wall or push against a post. I like to do this with my back against something to give myself something to push against. Now, if you can't quite get to the wall, you can put your hands behind your head and push against your hands. You should feel that engage in your neck. It's almost like you're trying to give yourself a double chin. Now on this one, I'm trying to go for 15 reps as well. It's hard to talk and do these at the same time. So I'm realizing some of the things that are going on with my spine are affecting how my body is able to move. So some of that's at my head and neck, some of that's down here at my waist. You can see my waist is a little bit tipped back. So what I'm trying to do is, I realized I was spending a lot of time editing at the computer. And so I was sitting in this position a lot, where my hips are tucked back like this, and that's pushing my stomach out forward. So if I can pull the hips back, it actually helps flatten that stomach. I also need to help pull the head back to get my ears, my shoulders, and my hips all in a straight line. You can see right now, my hips are a little bit back and my head is a little bit forward. So I need to work at stretching some of those muscles and strengthening other stabilizing muscles. So that's why I'm adding these into my routine. So I'm gonna try and do 3 sets of these to start off with them. We'll have a lot of mental energy to focus. And then we'll move to more compound movements of doing upper body exercises. Think about pinching the shoulder blades together. So this is pulling those shoulder blades down and back. I like to do this with palms up because I get a stretch in my pec tendon as well. Snagging on my watch a little bit. I do this actually just because I keep on hitting my watch. So I'm gonna switch my grip just a little bit. I lose the pec stretch, but I don't want to break my watch, so. $13, oh, that burns. It should burn right between your shoulder blades. 14. 15. Oh. Now, if you don't have a band, let me know in chat. I can show you how to do it with a dumbbell. I think the band, though, works better for this exercise. And doing our second set of chin tucks, you could do this just leaning against a wall, pushing your head back to the wall. I'm showing just from the side because it's easier to see. So the wall helps be a ruler for you. So your head should actually be on a straight line with your hips and shoulders. This is actually correct posture. This actually helps pull my stomach in as I do this. Because if I'm out here, my hips have to move back and pushes my stomach forward. If my back's flat against this, this is actually what's normal. So it's amazing how, because your body will try and balance, so it will move your head to make sure it stays balanced. If one part of your body is out, the rest of your body will compensate. So for me, I've got some tight muscles that are making this move like this. So I'm trying to loosen up those muscles and strengthen the stabilizing muscles in my neck. So this is called a chin tuck. You can also put your fingers on your chin and pull away from your fingers. So you want to pull straight back away from your fingers like a turtle pulling its head into its shell. So I don't want to look down. I don't want to bring my fingers to my forehead. I want to pull straight away from my fingertips. You might feel that stretch back in here. feel much more on my right side, right along here. So right in that, where it's pulling my head like this. And so I'm trying to counter that, to strengthen these muscles in here. So we're gonna do one more set of each of these and then we'll move on to our next exercise. So I'm gonna do the pull apart like this, hands out towards the front, pulling out to the sides, pinching my shoulder blades together. So I'm just going here, out to the back. And that actually pulls my shoulder blades back and down while stretching out these in here. Oh, man. We'll see how rows do after this, because rows do work that muscle some. I just like this because it's more of an isolation of that. So we're pre-exhausting that muscle, which just means we're isolating it. We're hitting just that muscle by itself before we go into the next exercise where it's going to get even more work along with other muscles. And last set, chin tucks. So fingers on the chin. You might find that you're actually further back now because the muscles in the back have loosened up. For me, I find that this feels kind of natural rather than being here. So that's good. That means the muscles are actually letting go in the back. So we're strengthening these muscles in the front. You should feel that engage right in here, deep in the neck. So trying to push back into that wall. And relax. Okay. So now we're gonna move to some upper body exercises doing larger muscle groups. So we're gonna use a bench and a set of dumbbells. So I'm grabbing a set of 30-pound dumbbells for a warm up. Because I don't want to go in completely cold to this exercise. So start, sorry, just adjusting the camera just a little bit so you can see me. There we go. So I like to start up with a specific warm up when I do an exercise. So this, I'm starting with a slightly lighter dumbbell, and then I'll move to a heavier dumbbell as the muscle gets warmed up, gets blood flow into it. So from here, kicking the dumbbells up to the front of my shoulders, hands wide. I'm gonna push up to the front and then back down, all the way down to my shoulders. Doing about 10 reps, just getting some blood flow into the muscle in my chest. This is working the pecs, the pectoral chest muscles, and the tricep in the back of my arm. All right, so I'm gonna pair that with pulling muscles. So we just did pushing with the incline bench. Now I'm gonna combine that with a row exercise, and I'm gonna use bands for the row because I find using bands really lets me focus on that row position. I'm not worrying about my lower back. If I was to do a bent over row, doing like this, it's a good exercise, but for me, I find it's distracting to think about what is my lower back doing. So having the band gives me more control over that movement, where I can focus in on what's happening at my lats instead. So I'm gonna anchor the band right at shoulder height and pull back to my rib cage, driving that elbow backwards. So I want to step back far enough where I feel tension through this whole movement. I'm going to where I'm letting the band pull me forward and then all the way to the back. And 10. This is not gonna be heavy enough though. I think what I'm gonna do is actually shift to one hand at a time. So, I'm gonna add an extra band later. There we go, that feels better. So I'm pulling to the back, trying to let that lat fully go forward. I want to pick a band that's heavy enough where it's challenging the muscle. So for a warm up, it should be just underneath that where it should be just, you can feel the muscle getting blood flow to it, but we're not looking to make it really difficult for it yet. I think that's good for me though. So doubling it up, I'm gonna do the red plus the blue band, moving into what's called a working set. Now this is where I start counting sets for these two exercises. So I'm doing what's called a superset, which means that we're working complementary muscles. So the pecs, push, the lats, pull. So while the chest is resting, we're doing lats pulling towards the back. So we're alternating between the two to let us, while one side's recovering, we're working the other side. So I'm gonna grab a heavier dumbbell. And going into to incline dumbbell bench press. So I'm arching my back, pushing my chest out towards the front. Trying to go all the way up, all the way down on every rep. 11, 12, and 13. So I want to feel challenged, but not completely overwhelmed on each set. So the muscle should feel tired. I could maybe do 2 more reps, and because that way I'm limiting how much fatigue I'm generating while still getting a great muscle stimulus into that muscle. I used to go all the way to failure all the time, and that actually has slowed me down in my muscle growth. If I could go back to my 20s and early 30s, I would change how I train. Now I'm 38, I'm changing how I train a little bit, and I'm seeing more muscle growth over time because of that. So it's always a journey. I'm better than I was a year ago, and I'll be better a year from now than I am. Changes happen slowly over time, and sometimes it's hard to see that. I know some days I get frustrated. I'm like, man, I work so hard. Why am I not seeing the growth that I want to? I just have to be patient with myself and keep on putting in the work. So the thing that slows me down is when I get impatient and decide, oh, I'm gonna push so much harder today. And then suddenly I have a ton of extra fatigue and without really muscle growth to show for it. So I need to be disciplined and not overdo it. Really feel like this is working the muscles between my shoulder blades. As I do this, I can feel that pulling that shoulder blade back. "13. Same the other side. Now, keeping the thumb pointed up will engage more of those lats in here. Okay. Just gonna leave that right there. All right, so while we were working the back, the chest is now rested up. So we're gonna go straight into our chest again. We'll see how legs go today. I've been doing something a little different over the last 24 hours. I've realized my hip flexors are really tight, those muscles right in the front of the hip. So I've been doing no sitting for 24 hours. I've been doing a lot of kneeling and standing. And that's caused me to have to stretch those hip flexors a ton. So they're really sore actually. So we'll see how legs go. Oh, 12 and 13. Oh, I can really feel that in my chest today. All right. Having trouble racking the weights a little bit today. So I like the supersets because we can get more done in a shorter period of time. Just going one exercise into the next. So you can see my hips kind of pull back a little bit because those hip flexors are tight. It affects more exercises than just legs. I'm trying to not do that. I'm gonna try to put one foot forward. There we go, that feels a lot better. 1, 2. I like to put my opposite leg forward. So that way I'm not twisting towards the side that I'm pulling on. Last one, 13. I can feel that band pulling all the way from here. So working this muscle threads in through the arm, down your rib cage into your low back. So I'm trying to pull to my rib cage and then back. Really driving that elbow back. Can feel this so much more in my lats though. Not having to think about my low back. Where I feel that right in here. Now if you want to, you could actually even face away and pull this way, because that'll get more of that stretch in the lats. But I'm doing a facing towards. I want to engage a little bit more of these middle traps and muscles up in my shoulder blade, so I'm pulling that shoulder blade back as well as my elbow. Like I'm working on my own stuff too. So you can see I have a little bit of my chest. It's a little rounded in, just a little bit. And my head is a little bit forward from my shoulder. So I'm trying to pull that head back and open up that chest. So to do that, I'm strengthening these muscles in the back of the shoulder blade and helping loosen up these muscles in the front. All right, this is set 3. So I want to try it for at least 3 sets or as many as 5 sets. Personally, I'm trying to aim for closer to 5. If you're just starting out, I'd recommend starting at just 1 or 2 sets and see how you feel. So starting out, it's better to start light and then build up rather than starting really heavy and then risking injury or just not being able to repeat the workout. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Oh. I actually feel that in my neck some. Okay, that was set 3. See if we can get through more than that. So I know on lats, on pulls, I find that when I'm doing them, I feel them a little bit, and then as soon as I cool down, I feel them all through my lats. So I feel like almost like a cramp across here in the upper back. But it's always been a little harder for me to connect with what's called my posterior muscles, the muscles on the back. These are anterior muscles. These are posterior muscles. A lot of people have trouble connecting with their posterior muscles or their posterior chain. It's the name for the muscle, the combination of muscles all through the back. So, a lot of times that means people don't work those muscles, and that's terrible. You want to be balanced between the two. A lot of postural issues and something called reciprocal inhibition comes from not working one side and working only one half of the set of muscles you have. So a lot of people work the muscles they can see in the mirror, but they don't work the muscles on the back side of them. So there are things like their hamstrings, their glutes, their lats, their traps, or their middle traps. And so because of that, their body suffers from that imbalance where these muscles are all pulling them down forward, and the muscles that are supposed to help balance that are not as strong. I know that's happened for me. I'm trying to work on that by strengthening, especially these middle traps in here. I find that those are not as strong as they need to be for me. So I'm doing exercises that target more of those middle traps, like the pull apart we did earlier. This will hit some of those traps, but it's more of a lat exercise. Now you could do this exercise with cables as well. Same things apply. You want to have it pulling straight out towards the front. Going all the way forward, letting that pull apart your lats and pulling that shoulder blade back, pulling that elbow back towards your rib cage. And 13. Oh. Thinking about what I want to do. Thinking, do I want to do another 2 sets of chest and back? Or do I want to go into some arms exercises for time? I think I'm going to shift to some arms. So we'll keep it at 3 sets today. We tried some new exercises, and I want to see how I feel on Wednesday with those. So we're gonna work some of the muscles in the arms now, and then we'll focus in on legs later. So I'm gonna go to a lighter dumbbell. We're gonna do an overhead press. Now, this exercise hits that deltoid muscle right here, and that middle deltoid especially, that pulls up to the side like this, because we're gonna be doing an overhead press up towards the ceiling. So this works that tricep and the lateral head of the deltoid, or the middle deltoid. So make sure there's nothing right over your head. Arms up to the sides so the dumbbells are right on the outside of your shoulders. So from here, we're gonna look up towards the ceiling and press straight up. Trying for 13. And 13. Now from here, we're gonna go straight into a bicep curl. So I like to do palms up on the bicep curl because this hits more that biceps brachii, which runs right in here. So you've got your biceps brachii, your brachialis down here, and your brachioradialis down here, which is more your forearm. So with this, if I was thumb up, I get more of this forearm. If I go palm up, I get more of this upper arm up here. So for what I'm doing today, I'm doing palm up. So I want my hands out to the front like this. So I'm putting tension on that bicep at the bottom of the movement. I'm gonna try for 13 reps on this, pulling up to the front of my shoulders. So 1, 2, 3, and I'm keeping those palms up. 4, or even my pinky finger up a little bit. 5, 6, should feel that burning your bicep right about now. 12 and 13. All right. So if you're liking these workouts and want to see more, hit that subscribe button for me and be here live. I go live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. I do all my workouts live on stream, keeping it genuine with you guys. So what I am doing is what I'm teaching, is what I'm also doing myself. So I'm trying to use the degree I have in exercise science to help people move and be healthier and recognize in my own body where I could improve too and help in any way I can. So if you want to be here live for that, I host these live streams Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Find sometimes what I know to be true, or what the knowledge I have sometimes doesn't protect me against just little things creeping into my life. I'm like, man, I realize I'm bringing my head down forward like this. That's not good. I need to re-strengthen these muscles, work on my posture again. Because it's just little things creep in over the day and you don't realize it until it's too late. And so I'm working on myself too, to build up strength, to get stronger a little bit more every day. I know my neck is prone to get stiffer easier because I had a really bad car accident a while back that tore up all the muscles. So I've worked at healing them, but they are more prone to injury than other things. All right, going for set number 2 on overhead press. Two more. 12 and 13. Oh. Now I know there are people that can do a lot heavier on that than I can. I'm going to where I feel challenged in that muscle and building up that strength over time. So just because you see someone going a heavier weight doesn't mean, oh, I have to do that weight too. Find the weight that's challenging for that muscle around 10 reps, and that's where you want to shoot for. You can always add more weight later. So it's better to start small and build up over time rather than start heavy and injure your shoulders. All right. Going in for our second set of bicep curl. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, it's burning in that bicep. 12 and 13. Oh, I just discovered something. So if my knees are locked, I am kind of arched at my back, but if my knees are slightly bent, I actually feel more at my shoulder in that bicep where it's more intense. So there's a soft bend in the knees rather than having your knees locked. Changes how my spine is aligning to then change how that dumbbell is orienting against gravity. So if I'm locked, I'm a little straighter down. If I'm a little bent, in my knees, just soft bend, I'm a little more forward with the dumbbell, and that's gonna get more of that bicep engaged at the most tense part. So when gravity's pushing down, and my arm's almost straight, gravity's pushing against it. If I'm down here, gravity is more pulling on my shoulder than it is pushing on my bicep. All right, one more set on arms. Oh man, I can feel that in my bicep a lot. I'm gonna grab a quick sip of water. If you're liking these workouts and want to see more, hit that like button for me to let me know you want more content like this. Okay, last set. Nine, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Oh, I feel that a ton in my shoulders. All right, now I gotta set the dumbbells down. I'm gonna finish this last set. So soft bend in the knees, arms out to the front. Actually, I am gonna set the dumbbells down. My arm's cramping a little bit, so I'm just gonna let that relax a little. Before going into our last set of dumbbell exercises for upper body. All right, last set of curls. Slight bend in the knee, curling up to the front. 3, 4, 5, Trying to not swing my hips at all. 6, the bend in the knee helps with that. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 2 more, 12, 13. Oh, wow. So I really like that soft bend. So instead of like this with a locked out, soft bend in the knees to help with that bicep curl. So that was our upper body exercises. Now we're gonna do some lower body exercises. Then we'll end with a little bit of stretching as well. Whew. So for the lower body, I'm just warning, these muscles are really sore for me already because I've been doing so much standing and keeping these stretched over the last 24 hours. So it might be that the quads, one of which attaches up here, are kind of too fatigued today, so I might have to skip them. But we'll give it a shot and see. So I'm gonna start with a lighter dumbbell. This is only 20 pounds because I don't want to push it too far. So we're gonna do a sumo squat. So I'm gonna have my feet nice and wide, like I'm riding a horse. So in martial arts, we would call this horseback riding stance. It's the actual name for it in Taekwondo. So from here, I'm gonna bend down. Yeah, so this is how you do this. It will work more of these inner muscles in the thigh and these quad muscles in the top. Going down towards the front and back up. So I can feel that's still really sore for me from the last 24 hours. I'm not gonna be able to do this exercise today. And that's one of the reasons we do a warm up, to see how is that muscle feeling. I can feel that hurts to pull on. So I'm gonna let that muscle heal. And instead, I'm gonna do some bridges and see how those feel. So this is gonna be actually a hip thruster. So a bridge is with your back flat on the ground. The thruster is on a bench. So I'm gonna put my shoulder blades right on the bench. I can put my hands on the side just to make sure I stay balanced. From here, I'm gonna keep my knees at shoulder width, so they're in line with my feet. I'm gonna push up towards the front, squeezing my glutes together, and then back down to the ground. So pushing up. Now, the knees don't knock together. You wanna keep them out apart at shoulder width. Pushing up on both sides, so try and push to the bottom of your feet, bridging your hips up towards the front. Now, if you want to, you can add a weight to this, holding a weight on your stomach. For me, I'm just gonna do body weight and go for higher reps until I feel that fatigue in my glutes. These muscles right back here in the back of your hips. Try and go all the way down and all the way back up. Now I'm not trying to never drop, so I never hit the ground. I control it all the way through the full motion. And relax. Oh man. I like those exercises though. I like going to higher reps where I can really feel that burn in the muscle. Just thinking what I want to pair this with. I'm not going to do sumo squats because that doesn't feel good on my legs, on my quads right now. Because those muscles have all been stretched out for the last 24 hours. So they're healing from that process, which is good. I just don't want to overdo it and injure myself or cause myself pain. That's going to cause me to have to miss working them out later. I like this though because it doesn't put pressure on the knees. It works those big hip muscles. Well, so we're engaging those glutes, building strength and endurance in those hip extensors. A lot of times the flexors are tight and the extensors are weak. So I'm building up my extensors, these big muscles in the back of the hip, by bridging up, feeling that engage right here in the glutes. I'm drawing my belly button in towards my spine and then back down. So I'm pushing my heels down into the ground, engaging those glutes. I'm trying to keep my knees apart at shoulder width as well, so I'm not letting them tuck in. So this is stretching across here as I'm strengthening back here. And doing this with body weight means that I can go higher reps and really focus in on the muscle feeling. Actually, you can feel this engaging some of the neck muscles as well. Now, if you don't have a bench, you could do this with a chair. Just make sure it's not going to slide out from under you. So get a sturdy chair if you do this with a chair. Oh. All right, and I'm going to take a minute, let my legs recover. So I feel this a lot in my hamstrings, in the back of my thigh, my glutes in the back of my hips. A lot of people who have tight hamstrings also have weak hamstrings. I know I've pulled my hamstring before doing martial arts. So especially on my left side, it's very easy for that left hamstring to switch off where it stops working. And so because of that, I'm trying to focus in on this to engage both sides. So I'm not using just the right leg. I'm trying to keep that left leg engaged, so I'm really focusing on pushing through both feet, pushing down into the ground. Okay, last set. I'm going for a third set of legs. I think we're gonna go for 3 sets on everything and then call it there. And then we'll do some stretching for the front of the hip as well at the end. All right, doing the hip thruster for last set. Now, whether you're just joining, if you're working out with me, or just here hanging out, I host these live streams Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Where I work out, trying to be as genuine as possible. I only work out live on stream, where I show all of the workouts I'm doing. So you know, I'm doing the same things I'm teaching. Trying to push my body a little bit every time. I'm trying to go for about 20 reps. Trying to go to where those muscles in my hips feel tired. And last one, 20. And relax. All right, I'm gonna set the dumbbell to the side. So we'll start out with a chest stretch. So I'm gonna put my hand right at shoulder level with my elbow right at shoulder level. And we'll do this two-handed. So putting your arms out to the side at shoulder level, you're gonna lean towards the front, feeling that stretch across your chest. So you could do this in a doorway, or if you have something like this with two posts, grabbing onto those posts, leaning towards the front. Now don't lean down though, lean with your chest up. So that's gonna really stretch those pectoral muscles. And holding for 30 seconds. I find a lot of people feel so much better after doing this stretch. They didn't even realize their chest was tight until they stretched it out. If you want to, you could step forward with one foot as well. Lars says, hey Greg, speaking of hamstring flexibility and strength, what's your opinion on Jefferson curls for hamstring flexibility? That's a good question. Let me think for a moment. I'm trying to remember what Jefferson curls look like. Give me a quick second to finish this stretch, or if you could describe it for me. I'm not familiar with that exercise by name. Give me a moment. So Jefferson curls. Okay, so rounding the back. So I think there is more, that's more working the erector spinae muscles, the spinal muscles, to round like that at the back. I would say if you have tight hamstrings, that's gonna be hard to do already. It would stretch your hamstrings some, but I think I would say there's not really a reason to round the spine, because at the hip where the hamstrings attach, hamstrings don't attach up at your spine. So doing this movement is the same as this movement for the hamstrings perspective. So if I'm doing this, I get all of the stretch benefit without having to worry about rounding my back. Now, if you are wanting to work these muscles in here, I would start light, even just body weight, working through that rounded position and coming back up, doing a Jefferson curl. So getting to where your spinal muscles are strong enough to support that movement. I say for hamstrings, I would say it could stretch your hamstrings, but it's not gonna necessarily stretch it more than a Romanian deadlift would, which is already gonna hit your hamstrings really effectively for stretching and strengthening. But a very good question. If you want to do Jefferson curls, feels comfortable on your spine, then it would still get a hamstring stretch. You might not be able to load it as heavy as your hamstrings are able to go though. So you might have to start with a lighter weight where your hamstrings aren't really getting the full tension that you would normally, because it's limited by your low back. Great question though. Sometimes exercises I'm not familiar with by name, but I've seen the exercise done, and even for exercises I haven't seen before, a lot of the biomechanical principles still apply. So looking at where the injury risks are, and then analyzing it, trying to mitigate those. So I do think Jefferson curls could be a fine exercise for strengthening your back, but it also could, if you have a compromised back, cause a breakdown on that. So be careful. If there's pain, don't do it. Because if you have any sort of disc bulge or pressure on the nerve, it can irritate that nerve, and that's really painful. So, good question though. I really like that question. We're gonna do one more set for the chest. So, pulling towards the front. I can feel that a lot more on my right side, right in here. So my right arm, probably because that's my mouse arm, the one I use the computer with more, I feel that is tighter. So because of that, I'm really trying to focus in on keeping that stretch. Yeah, thank you, Lars. That was a great question. I personally don't do Jefferson curls because I feel like I'd rather focus in on my hamstrings and stretching the muscles at the front of my hips. I don't want to risk, I don't want to do low back stretching like that. That might change in the future. I just personally, I don't find that as beneficial of an exercise for me. But for me, what I'm trying to do right now is get these muscles in the front to release. You can see I'm a little bit arched back here. It's a little less even now today because I've been stretching them really heavily for the last 24 hours. But, so this is really sore in here. I'm gonna try stretching it today, see how it feels. So for this, we're gonna do a runner's stretch or a kneeling runner stretch. So what I'm gonna do is put one foot out to the front. Back leg is the leg we're stretching. So I'm gonna try and push my hips towards the front till I feel that stretch across the front of my back leg. Trying to stand straight and tall, leaning towards the front till I feel that stretch. You might feel it all the way up here into your spine. This muscle actually attaches to your lumbar spine all the way down into the front of your hip. So this is the psoas or iliopsoas muscle. There's the psoas and then there's that's the single muscle, and then the pair of muscles is the iliopsoas, is a pairing. Just realized I can't remember what it's not the ilium, it's the iliac. It's been a little while. My Latin's a little rusty. Because I always refer to it as the iliopsoas as a muscle group. So some of the muscles are a little bit rusty on. Holding this for 30 seconds to really let that relax into that stretch. Oh, man, I can feel that sore though. For me, I've been doing all of my computer work either kneeling like this or standing up because I want to stretch this muscle because it's so tight. It's gotten tight from me doing a lot of sitting. I was sitting on an exercise ball as a computer chair, and I found that's actually really tightened up these muscles in the front of my hips. And so I'm changing that. I'm not gonna be using the exercise ball. I'm gonna be kneeling or standing and trying to do things that way and see how much that affects. Done it for the last 24 hours, and I'm already feeling these muscles are changing. They're really sore because I'm putting them in a length that they're not used to. So I'm trying to work on these muscles. Okay, now we're gonna stretch the hamstrings. So I'm gonna straighten this front leg. Move back just a little bit. And then I'm gonna bring my chest towards the front. You should feel that stretch right back in here. So I'm not rounding forward. I'm bringing my chest forward, keeping my back straight. That's gonna feel that stretch right back here in the hamstrings. So this muscle goes all the way from the back of the knee up and attaches into your hip. So I'm feeling it much more up at that hip. You guys let me know, would you rather do workouts together or would you rather do stretching together where we work on flexibility, mobility, and just, I find it's usually faster to feel changes doing stretching, where someone could come in really tight. After even 1 or 2 days of stretching, their joints feel looser, their body feels better, and they can see differences in how they're carrying themselves. Let me know in the chat, which would you rather do? Or would you rather do both, where we do something like this, where we do a workout together and then stretching? Love to hear, because sometimes I feel like stretching is a little easier to get into than working out, where it's a little easier to add into your day. You don't have to get all sweaty, where you can do it just about anywhere. Also, you don't need special weights or resistance equipment. So I'm trying to do the same thing on this side, leg towards the front. I can have a slight bend in the knee, so you don't have to lock the knee completely. Both, you try to combine them. My goals are front and middle splits, but it's hard. Wow, that is a great goal. That is ambitious, but very impressive if you could do it. So you're saying being able to do front splits and middle splits. So let's do a thing for that. So what we're gonna do after this, so front splits, you're saying like this, where I have one leg forward, one leg back, right? So this would be a great stretch for a front split, where you're not having to worry about your back leg, you're stretching that front leg and doing that hamstring stretch. And then we can stretch the back leg by going forward into this runner stretch. Absolutely, having a specific goal is great. For me, I'm trying to get it so my hips are in line. My hips, shoulders, and head are all on a straight line. So I'm stretching these muscles to help pull the hips forward, and I'm stretching these muscles to help pull the head back. So that's my goal. I think you have a fantastic goal though of doing full splits. That is a really ambitious goal, but I like it. Let's see. Let's actually stay on the ground and let's go down. Lens cover fell off. Let's go down here. So for side or middle splits, what I like to do is I put one leg behind the post like this, then the other leg like this. The post helps keep my legs back. Now, if you don't have something like this, that's okay. You can still put your legs out to the sides. I just find that it helps to have something to really lock in my legs. So I'm seated like this, bringing my legs out to the sides. Now from here, the other nice thing about having the post is I have something to pull against, to pull my chest forward. I'm feeling that stretch right here on the inside of my thigh. Now, if you don't have something to hold on to, you can reach forward with your hands, trying to keep your back flat. Doing this against a wall, I think, is a really good idea, because you can keep your back flat, really push out towards the front till you feel that stretch on the inside of your thigh. Now, I've been doing this actually for a little bit more than a week now, and I've already noticed a difference in how far my legs are out to the sides, where I'm actually not even necessarily pressing against these posts anymore as much. I can still use that post to help pull me forward. So I like to hold these for 30 seconds, 3 times. So just like anything else where we're doing resistance training, We want to do multiple sets to cause more of a stretch. Now, if you can't quite get this far out, that's okay. Go to where you feel that stretch, lean towards the front, hold that stretch for 30 seconds. Now, I used to be able to do full splits. I used to be able to do full splits, but to do that, what I was doing is I would stretch every day while doing homework. Back when I was in school, I would do math homework and be writing my math homework, holding that stretch. And that time under tension is what caused these muscles to lengthen and adapt to that. So anytime we're doing this, trying to hold for 30 seconds, then come back up. Now, just because I'm out this far does not mean you need to. You want to go to where you feel tension. So when I first started this, I was on the other side of these posts out here instead of out here. So it took time. It can happen quickly, but you want to go to where there's tension but no pain. And holding for 30 seconds. I like doing this variation more than a standing variation because I feel like I have more control of this. I feel like standing, my muscles can fatigue and then I start not getting a good stretch into the hips. So this is stretching these muscles on the inside of the thigh. Are you able to stretch every day? So I think doing daily stretches like this can really help accelerate how fast the muscle can adapt and change. Now, if you feel sore, that can be a sign that your body is needing more time to actually adjust. So don't stretch out if you're sore. So don't feel like you have to push that stretch because your body's already healing and adapting. So you might do just light stretching, not heavy stretching if you're sore. A little light stretching is okay, can help your body feel a little bit better, but you don't want to be compounding on where you're pulling on muscles that are already healing. I'm trying to get it where I can be all the way forward, at least a good 25 to 35 degrees. Right now I feel like I'm pretty upright. I want to be down here. And to get out, I just slide to the side, bend my knee, and stand up. So one of those muscles, the adductor magnus that runs along here, some people call it the fourth hamstring. It actually will also be stretched by doing a hamstring stretch. So as you work on your side splits, your front splits can actually improve too because that adductor magnus is getting more flexibility. I know for me, my hamstrings are actually looser than my adductor magnus is. So doing a hamstring stretch, like a sit and reach, or a bending over, doing the hamstrings, I feel I have more flexibility in the hamstrings than I do in my inside of my thigh, or I used to. I'm getting better on that adductor magnus. So now let's actually do a bend over hamstring stretch. So what I want you to do is we're going to push the hips out towards the back. So you're not reaching down as much as you're pushing your hips backwards, feeling that stretch in the back of your hamstring. You can even do this with a post, sort of leaning back into that stretch. Holding for 30 seconds. and relax. Now for stretching the quads, which run across the front of the thigh, all the way up into the hip, I'm just gonna hold on to here for balance, bring my heel up towards the back, feeling that stretch across the front of my back leg. Now, if you can't reach your foot like this, you can always use a towel. I'm gonna use a band just because I don't have a towel with me, but you just would loop it around and use the towel to hold up your foot like this. You can also use, actually, this is called a stretch strap. Let me know if you would like for me to put a link, an affiliate link to get one of these. But these are specifically designed for stretching like that. So what you could do is grab onto one of these loops and pull up using this as a support. So if you can't quite reach your ankle, these are a great option where they've got loops every so often for you to have handholds. So it's a great thing if you're trying to work on your flexibility, especially if this is too intense. Holding the foot up like this, it gives you more options on a lot of these stretches. Now the other thing you can do is put your foot up on something and then just lean back, feeling that stretch. Like you could put this up on a chair or a bench and then feel that stretch across your quads. All these I'm holding for 30 seconds. Man, I can feel that tense up in my rectus femoris, which is right up here in the front of my thigh. Goes all the way from the front of the hip down to the knee. That's why I know it's the rectus femoris, because that's the muscle that does that. It goes all the way across the front of the thigh. If it was only at my knee, it would be one of my quads. So you have the vastus lateralis, medialis, and intermedius. But the rectus femoris is the only one that goes all the way up to the hip. So if that doesn't make sense, don't worry, it doesn't really matter too much because we're stretching all the quads with this. I just feel it most in that hip flexor part of the quad. So I know for me personally, that's a very tight muscle group for me. Feeling this all the way through that front of the thigh. So it goes from the knee all the way up into the hip. Just trying to relax into that stretch. I like stretching at the end of a workout where I'm all warmed up. I can work on that flexibility. Oh. I'm gonna do one more stretch for the hamstrings. So we're gonna use a stretch strap. If you don't have something like this, you can always use a towel instead. So I like this because you can put your foot in like a stirrup. So you're gonna grab onto the stretch strap or ends of the towel and pull up to the front, feeling that stretch in your hamstring along the back. So other leg is straight, pulling up to the back. And all these we're gonna try and hold for 30 seconds. I like this stretch strap because it lets you keep constant tension on the hamstring. And same thing other side. Now it's important I don't have this other leg bent, because then I'm gonna take all the pressure off at the hips. So if I keep my legs straight, the hamstring actually attaches at the hips. So if my knee's bent, I'm changing the hips, and that's gonna change the stretch on the hamstring to be less intense. So I want it to stretch all the way through the full length. If I need to, I can always bring the leg down to make it less intense. I'm just going until I feel that tension and then holding for the full 30 seconds. Now, if you don't have a stretch strap, you can just use a towel. Just hold the ends of the towel, wrap it around your foot like a beach towel, and then pull up towards the front. I just find this a little easier because there's actually handholds for this. We're actually gonna do one more stretch because just realized we haven't stretched the outside of the hip at all. I wanna make sure we get that IT band and glute medius stretch. It's gonna be right in the same position. I'm gonna reach, so it's my right knee. I'm gonna grab with my left hand. So opposite hand to the knee. I'm gonna pull over and across my body. I'm feeling that stretch on the outside of the hip on this right leg. So pulling over and across my body. Now I'm trying to keep my shoulders flat, so I'm pulling across here. Should feel a good stretch on that outside of the leg though. We're using stretching as a cooling down. Now this, I'm just trying to maintain flexibility. So because of that, I'm just doing one set. If I was really trying to increase my flexibility with these, so opposite hand, opposite knee, pulling across my body, feeling that stretch on the outside of the hip. If I was trying to increase my flexibility, I would do multiple sets of each of these stretches. Sometimes this muscle can be really tight on people and they don't even realize it. They just feel like, oh, I have back pain, when it's really this glute med is tight. So when they go to stretch this, they suddenly feel, oh wow, that muscle is tight, where they can't really even get it across their body. So for me, this is okay. It's not tight, but it's not overly loose either. So I just try and maintain that muscle by stretching it every time. I do a little bit of stretching every day for this, just to keep that from tightening up on me. So I appreciate you guys being here, spending some time with me, talking out some things. You had great questions, and I always love having questions and helping in any way I can. And so just wanted to say thank you for being here and hope to see you guys next time. I host these live streams on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you want to come by, say hi. Always appreciate you being